boys and girls, I want to welcome you to this meeting with our mayor. This is Mayor Mickey Thompson. Mickey Thompson is the mayor of Douglasville, Georgia. Can everybody say hi to him?
Hello, how are y'all today?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Bright Star.
Okay.
Bright Star is, I personally think, the best elementary school in Douglas County and Douglasville, but you know, I'm a little prejudiced. We have 440 students, kindergarten through 5th grade, and we do a great job. So, and these are our second graders, and they are studying about mayors and people in official roles and through their social studies curriculum.
Well, great.
And boys and girls, I want you to be on your best behavior and give Mayor Thompson your gift of attention. Can we do it? Thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me today. It's my honor and pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you.
Ms. Mims, you know, her husband's a city council member. She called me and asked me if I would come down and talk to your students. And, you know, of all the things I do, going to the schools and talking to the children is the thing that I enjoy the most. And I enjoy it because the children are honest with you. They ask good questions. Right. About what's going on, and I always enjoy it, and I truly, it was a pleasure for me to be invited.
Well, I'm so glad you're here, and these children will not disappoint you.
Well, thank you very much.
You.
Well, let me start by telling you my name. I'm Mickey Thompson, and I'm the mayor of the city of Douglasville. I've been in office for about 15 years now. Fortunately, your parents and your friends and relatives have voted for me, and I thank them for that. And I was honest when I say that the things that I get to do, and I'm fortunate I'm able to do a lot of things, but there's nothing I enjoy any more than coming to the schools and talking to y'all. Your school is a beautiful building. As I was driving by, and I've been by many times, actually I used to just live a very short distance from here. And down on Bright Star Road, which your school is named after. And so it is a beautiful building. You're fortunate to have such a wonderful school and wonderful teachers to teach you. I appreciate you allowing me to come in and talk a little bit about our city government and our city of Douglasville. We're very proud of our city. We've grown to about well, the last census done by the Atlanta Regional Commission, about 32,000 people now. When I first moved here about 40 years ago, I guess, you probably have more students in your school than we had in the entire city back then. But we've grown by a tremendous amount. Many of you may have moved in during that rapid growth period. For a number of years, about 10 years, from about 2000 to 2010, we were one of the fastest growing cities in the state of Georgia and actually in the country. A lot of new houses, a lot of new subdivisions and things like that were built, and a lot of new schools as a result of that. And we're still building schools in our county to keep up with the expanding population. But again, thank you for inviting me. What I'd like to do is just talk a little bit about what my job is and what I do and what the city government does. And one of the things that I like to do, I always like to do, is save a lot of time for questions. I know the lady in the front row has a question. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to talk for a little bit, and then we'll ask your questions, depending on how your teachers want to do it. Sometimes they read the questions. Sometimes they choose the students. As you raise your hand and tell me which student to answer the questions for. But we'll do it, teachers, ever how y'all want to do it. But let me just take about 5 minutes to tell you a little bit about our government and myself. Believe it or not, I'm 64 years old. I know I don't look it. No, I'm just kidding you. But I'm 64 years old. Have one daughter. She's 30 years old now. She has 3 beautiful little grandchildren. As you know, I'm pretty proud of those. They are 5, 2, and 2 months. So I have one little grandson that's 2 months old. Our family moved here a long time ago, and I'm not originally from, neither my wife and I were originally from Douglasville, but this is home. It's been home for many, many years for us. My daughter lives in Lost Mountain, which is right outside of Marietta. My wife is in the insurance business here, and I'm retired from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Prior to becoming mayor, I had a full-time job working for the federal government in the U.S. Attorney's Office, and actually I served one term as mayor and worked full-time. And I can tell you that was a very, very trying time. And I was first elected in 1995 as a city council member, and I was elected mayor in 2000. And just to tell you a little bit about the city council, Stacy, has Roy been to tell them and go into some details about the city council? I won't bore them with all those same details that he's already told them.
Ms. Ortiz, what specifically did he go into? He talked about how many members there were and why there were 7, and but he only got to speak to one of our classes. So
Oh, okay.
it would benefit them for you to maybe go over that again.
Okay. Well, we have, in the city of Douglasville, we have a government, and the government is called the city council. And of course, that's a local government, and of course you're, I'm sure, studying about state government and federal government and school boards and all those things. But the city council is what our government is, and there are elected members that are members of the city council. And each one of those members serves for 4 years on the city council. There are staggered terms so that your mom and dad don't vote us all out of office at the same time, and there's a little bit of continuity if that happens. We have 4 of our city council members and myself that run actually next year, next November, and the other 3 council members run 2 years. So every 2 years in the city we have an election. And each one of those council members represents a small geographical area that's inside the city. And they're responsible to work for those people who live in their wards. Each one of those little areas is called a ward, just like in our United States, each area is called a state. And you have representatives that represent those areas. And they represent those areas for 4 years. There's a little bit of difference in that, and I won't go into detail. We have something that are called super wards, but basically for this discussion we have 7 areas of the city and we have 7 city council members. Now those city council members are elected by the voters in those wards. For the mayor, you have to campaign and you get elected by all of the people who are in the city. So you have to go all over the city campaigning as opposed to just your particular area that you represent. And I've done that also. I was a ward city council member for a while also. I'm sure all of you know where City Hall is. That's our headquarters. It's downtown. You know where the plaza is and the water fountain and things like that. Well, City Hall is right there. We have 4 meetings a month, and we have 4 work sessions per month. But we have a lot of other meetings outside the regular city council meetings that we attend. Now, I know you're wondering, what does the city council do? And why is there a need for the city council? Well, there are a lot of responsibilities that the city council members have. One of those is planning and zoning. Planning is we plan for things that are going to happen in the city. We have a short-term work plan, we have a long-term work plan, which goes out 10 years in advance. And what we do is we look at the entire area in the city, and we have a zoning map. And that map, I should have brought one of those today, but it's different colors for different kinds of businesses or different kinds of homes that would be built in those particular areas. Not necessarily the kind of home, but the density. And density means how many homes are built per acre. So that's one component of it. The zoning component is, it's kind of like a permit or permission you have to build something in a particular area. And the city council decides that. They do a lot of things about compensation and benefits for the employees. They appoint various people to various jobs. I'm sure everyone knows that we have a police chief, and we have policemen in the city of Douglasville. Well, the city council actually hires the police chief. They give him his job, and they tell him what they would like for him to do with respect to public safety. The police officers are there to provide safety for you and your family. We have a roads department that takes care of these streets and roads that are out in front of your school and in front of your home. And of course the city council decides where they're going to build the roads and when those roads are going to be improved, when those roads are going to be paved. The one person that you see that works for the city, if you live inside the city, every week is the trash guy. He comes to your house and picks up your household sanitation. And there's a sanitation supervisor. The city council hires the sanitation supervisor. And I'll get to your questions in just a minute. I'm almost finished. And so that person comes to your house every week. They're basically two employees that visit you. Hopefully the second one doesn't visit you too frequently. But the first one is the person that picks up your trash, and the other is a sanitation person. They come only, the police department, I'm sorry. They come only usually if you dial 911, but they're routinely riding by your house to provide public safety for you. So by the number of hands that are going up, I know you've got a lot of questions. And so what I'll do is stop. And there's a lot more I would like to tell you. But I know we only have a short period of time today, and I've used about half of that time already. So I'm going to answer any question that you have over the next 15 minutes. And the nice lady with a microphone is going to decide who is going to ask a question, and she will provide you with a microphone. And the folks on, I forgot to tell you one thing. You see the cameras, one's here, two are in the back. You're going to be on TV. The city of Douglasville has its own TV station. It's Digital Channel 22. And Ms. Hunter, who is with us today, can give your teachers a schedule on when it will be broadcast, and you'll be able to see this program. It's a program called Ask the Mayor, and you're going to ask me questions, and I'm going to answer those. So that's an appropriate title for what we're going to do today. So if your teacher will get that information, she will get that information from Ms. Hunter, and they will let you know when this program is going to be aired, and it will air multiple times if you don't get an opportunity to see it the first time. Okay, are we
Boys
ready?
and girls, Miss LaFeast is going to come by with a microphone. If you have a question, I will call on you. You've got to remember that a question starts with a question word. The mayor is a very busy man, and he will not have time for all of us to tell him a story. So maybe we can write a letter to him later to do that. So if you have a question about his role as mayor in the city of Douglasville, you can put your hand up and we'll come by. Okay. Thomas, can you stand up?
How did you become the mayor?
How did I become the mayor? And your name is Thomas? Thank you, Thomas, for that question. That's a very good question. The process to become the mayor is you have to qualify. And qualifying means during a 1 week period, you go to City Hall and you fill out a form. And that form requires the clerk of the city to check your information to see if you're qualified. Some of the requirements are you must be a citizen of the United States. You must be 21 years old. There are no residency requirements. And what I mean by residency requirements, some offices you have to have lived in the district for a certain period of time. and you must pay your qualifying fee. And for me, I think it's $415, I believe. And what happens then, they put your name on the ballot, and then about 8 weeks after that, there's an election held. And the person that gets the most votes is the winner. And there are, at least for mayor, for city council, there are no runoffs. It's just the person that gets the most votes. For mayor, you must get 50% plus one vote, or the two highest vote getters, or the people who get the most votes, they have what's called a runoff. Those two people will be voted on again by the voters, and then the person who gets the most votes is the mayor for the next 4 years. That's a very good question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's this, Daniel? Can you stand up?
How many hours do you walk for a day?
Okay, let me ask your name. If everyone will give their name when they stand up, then the audience at home will know exactly who you are. And your question, as I understand it, is how many miles or how many hours that I walk per day? Work per day. Okay, I'm sorry. It depends. It depends a lot on what my schedule is. Well, I'll tell you about today. I had a meeting this morning at 8:30 for our development authority. And then I'll have a meeting this afternoon that starts at 5:30 at the Douglas County Water and Sewer Authority. And the agenda looks like we'll be in there about an hour and a half today. So that's a pretty short day. A lot of the days will start that early in the morning, but if we have city council meetings, then you work throughout the day, and then city council meetings, the work session starts at 5:30, and then the regular meeting, the voting meeting, will start at 7:30, and that depends, how long that lasts depends on how many items we have. We allocate 1 hour for each item. 30 minutes for those who would like to speak in favor of an item, 30 minutes for those that would like to speak in opposition to an item. So we get out of that meeting 9 to 11 o'clock, depending on how long the agenda is. So today is a good day. I'll be home hopefully by 7 or 7:30 tonight. Some of those meetings last a lot longer than that. But thank you. That was a very good question.
Alan, can you stand up right there?
How do you get a
Alan,
vote?
if you'll give us your name for the audience, they'll know who you are.
Alan,
All right, thank you.
how do you get a vote?
How do you get a vote? That's a good question. I don't know if I have a real good answer for that because I don't always get all the votes. What you do in campaigning, and campaigning means you're going to the people, to the citizens who live in your community, and trying to convince them or asking them to actually vote for you. And you do that a number of different ways. You can do mailings, so you mail your correspondence to the voter's home. You can do TV advertising in the city of Douglasville, not on our government channel. It doesn't allow campaigning, but there are other stations that you can advertise on. But what I like the best, and what I've always done for all the elections I've run, is do door-to-door campaigning. And door-to-door campaigning means that you take a list of the registered voters. See, not everyone is registered to vote, but everybody that is registered to vote, there's a list at the courthouse, and you can take that list, and it's in order by street. So you can take a list for the street that you live on, and you can go visit every one of the registered voters that have the possibility of voting in the next election. And you give them your campaign material, and you answer any questions that they may have, and then you go to the next door. And so you really don't know when you leave if that person is a supporter of yours or likes what you're saying, because if you look at elections, you know, some people get elected and some people don't get elected. But I've been fortunate that I've won my elections by about 70%. I've never had to go into a runoff. So I feel very fortunate that the citizens have reelected me, and it's not about getting reelected. It gives you some satisfaction that what you're doing for the city and for them is what they're interested in. But thank you.
Can you stand up? Tell the mayor your name.
My name's Alexis, and what do you do in your office?
What do I do in my office? Well, there are a lot of different things. One of the things that I must do is sign various documents. Now, all of those documents that I sign are authorized by the City Council. For example, if we have a contract to build a new school, well, we don't build schools because that's the school system, but let's say we're going to build a new park, and we are building a building in Hunter Park now, and we're completely renovating Hunter Park. But the mayor cannot just go out and sign a contract for someone to come in and do that work. There are 7 city council members, and what they do is they will bid out the construction of those buildings, let's say for example, and then they will pass a resolution or a motion that will authorize me to sign the documents. So what I do is I review all those documents and meet with the attorney to make sure that they're in the proper form and that we're signing the appropriate documents. I get a lot of phone calls every day, and a part of my day is spent returning those phone calls and talking to folks. And usually those phone calls will result in a request for something. And it's usually some help. A person usually doesn't call or come to City Hall unless they need some help. So a part of our job is listening and talking and then trying to find the appropriate vehicle or the appropriate department that can help those folks because they need some help when they call us. I spend a large part of my time reading emails. Today we get an awful lot of emails that come in. And you'll have people that will just come in to City Hall and want to talk to you. So I spend some time talking to those folks. I participate in a lot of other organizations that are associated with doing my job as mayor. One of them I've already mentioned, which is the Water and Sewer Authority. The role of that authority is to provide adequate water for us to drink and sewerage. Those are the 2 primary focuses of that department. But another part of my role as mayor is serving on other boards and authorities. One of the ones that I'm very active in is the Georgia Municipal Association, and that is an organization of all 500 plus cities that are in Georgia. Believe it or not, there are over 500 cities that are members of that organization. And there are a lot of things that we do there, but one of the things is this organization provides medical insurance for all the employees that work for all of those 500 cities. We provide the retirement system for all of those cities, and I was fortunate enough to be elected as the board of trustees for that organization. And what that organization does is we take the monies that are paid in and we invest that money and try to make additional money that would pay medical claims and retirement benefits, dealing with the folks in New York on Wall Street that are doing the investing for us. So there are a lot of different things that I get involved in, but as I said earlier, none's more important to me than coming and talking to you guys, and I thank you for inviting me. Thank you for that question.
Okay, boys and girls, I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Can you stand up, please?
My name is Kyron.
I'm sorry.
My name is Kyron.
Okay.
Kyron. Okay, what's your question?
That's okay. We can come back.
Did you forget? You
Oh,
want to
yeah.
think about it and we'll come back to you?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Ella, tell them your name and look up. Ma'am.
My name's Ella, and how many elections have you won?
How many elections have I run? I think I've run 5, I believe. And they come very quickly, I can tell you. 4 years seems like a long time, but they do come very quickly. Thank you for asking that question.
Okay.
Where do you live?
Where do I live? You know, one of the things when I was answering the question about how do you become mayor, one of the requirements is you must live within the corporate city limits, which basically means that if you've got a city and let's say it's in a circle, you must live inside that circle, which means you live in the city of Douglasville. So the first requirement is I must always live inside the city. You cannot get elected and then move outside the city or move to Alabama or move somewhere else. You have to live where you're close to the people that you represent. Actually, I lived on Bright Star Road, just down the street here from your school, for 25 years, I guess. And then when they were building a new subdivision off Chapel Hill Road called Chapel Hills, my wife and I built a house in there. As a matter of fact, we built the first house in there. And so we've lived there since, I don't know, the early 90s, I believe it was, when we moved there. So actually I've only lived in two places for the 40 years or ever how long I've been here in Douglas County.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Yashanti, last question.
My name is Yashanti, and how many meetings do y'all have?
How many meetings do we have? On average, I would say, including all the meetings that I go to in around the state, on a monthly basis, probably 40 meetings a month, because I'm a member of the Atlanta Regional Commission, and we always have meetings down there. So probably averages about 40, and they'll vary anywhere from an hour. Some of them will last multiple days, and you'll have to go out of town and you'll have to stay for 3 or 4 days. I had to go to a meeting on the Board of Trustees that we have for the insurance company a few weeks ago, and it lasted for 4 days. But I know, and that's a very good question. Thank you for asking that question. For those that did not get a chance for me to answer your question, if you'll write me or email me, I'll be glad. If you want to send all your questions from the school, if you want to do that, I'll be glad to individually answer each one of those questions. But thank you very much for allowing me to come and join you today at Bright Star Elementary School. And it's been my honor to talk with you, and I look forward to coming back again.
Boys and girls, what can you say to the mayor?
Thank you. Let me mention one other thing. We brought some items for you, and how do you want to distribute those? Through the teachers and back in the classroom? And I brought some rulers. I didn't know we were going to have as many people, so if we run out, if your teachers will let me know, I will personally bring down some more for you. But Ms. Hunter and her TV station have also brought some special treats for you, and we'll get them to your teachers, and they'll pass them out back in your classroom. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.